A few years ago, I drove my 1992 Toyota Corolla over to Victoria to collect a large lot of computers that were kindly given to me by a guy called Roger. One of those machines is this really hefty Ipex computer from the mid-90s. What year is it from and what exactly are the specifications? I have no idea, so let's take a look.
Beige 90s computers. These are now somewhat sought after, funnily enough. The seemingly boring, bland designs, I guess, remind a lot of people of simpler times. This one even has a little built-in speaker module that is run using the audio jack on the back of the motherboard. The design of this machine implies that it is supposed to be a vertical tower. However, the feet are on this side. Its correct orientation would be like this, used horizontally. There is little to give away what might be within, although the fact there are a pair of USB ports suggests that it actually might be from the late 90s. So let's delve within and see what it's actually got. Getting inside requires the removal of some Torx screws. The side panel can then be slid off, revealing the rather well-kept internals. A complete system with a hard disk, it would seem. Even a floppy disk for some reason. The processor of a Socket 7 variety paired with 2 sticks of SD RAM. I would assume that the power supply is also original, being Ipex branded. The floppy disk and hard disk also have Ipex warranty void stickers, so they'll also likely be original. This is looking to be a rather nice retro PC, complete with an S3 Trio graphics card. Now for the moment of truth. Does the machine still work? Relievingly, it turns on and displays that it is running a Pentium MMX 233MHz processor, the last and best Pentium 1 desktop CPU ever released, and with the date and time input, it loaded into Windows 98. I'll never tire of hearing the startup chime. Anyway, we can see that the Ipex has 256MB of RAM, pretty overkill for a system like this, and a 2GB hard drive. An almost 30-year-old Seagate Medalist with a 4500 RPM rotational speed. I just love how chunky and durable the circuit board on the back looks. Speaking of chunky, let's pair the Ipex with a period-accurate CRT monitor. This one also given to me by Roger. It's a KTX color monitor, being 14 inches and built in September of 1997. I used a bit of eucalyptus oil on the casing to remove any dust and scuff marks, since it had been sitting in my cupboard for about 2 years. Conveniently, it also has both power and a sturdy VGA cable permanently attached. I'll keep Roger's company sticker on my set of drawers that I've got in my filming room, as I want the Ipex to look as original as possible. And thankfully, that CRT monitor displays at a refresh rate that plays nicely with my camera. One issue I have is that this version of Windows is in a foreign language, perhaps Dutch, which means I'll need to reinstall Windows sadly. This will require me to use the optical drive that does thankfully open. The Ipex warranty void sticker does suggest that this Sony CDU511 8 to 16 times CD-ROM drive is the original one. This one in very good cosmetic condition, even featuring little movable arms to stop the discs falling out when the desktop is mounted horizontally.
While the port selection in this old Ipex computer are pretty outdated by today's standards, if you need a lot of ports connected to your modern Thunderbolt-equipped laptop or desktop, you should definitely consider checking out Keytron's new Thunderbolt 5 dock.
Featuring 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, 140W power delivery, fast charging, and support for up to 2 8K displays at 60Hz.
I've found this thing very convenient alongside my 14-inch MacBook Pro. Once again, thanks to Keytron for sending this over, and I've really enjoyed testing it. Anyway, back to the Ipex.
What exactly was on that floppy disk found inside the casing? Well, there appears to be a whole lot of software and documentation for the ASUS motherboard, which does make sense. Alright, time to see if that CD-ROM drive actually works, with a copy of Windows 98 SE, which will be a perfect operating system for such a computer. But first we must see some of the hilarious and crazy demo videos that come with the 98 CD-ROM.
You'll be up and teeing off in no time. You'll find 3 challenging...
An ergonomic keyboard? What a time to be alive. The 90s really had it all. Microsoft even had a phone. I guess this is a precursor to the Windows phones released in later years. And you'd better believe that Microsoft had all sorts of peripherals for sale. A force feedback racing wheel as seen here. And we'll be pairing our Ipex with a joystick, the Microsoft Sidewinder 3D Pro, which came out a whopping 30 years ago, a joystick as old as me. And since the CRT monitor wasn't playing ball with refresh rate outside of Windows, I moved back to my trusty LCD for the time being. I would now learn that I needed to wipe the little Seagate hard drive since the installer CD was indeed for computers without Windows. I mean, it literally said so on the disk. But not to worry, a boot floppy will save us. Using the F-disk tool on my Windows 98 boot floppy, I began reformatting the hard drive. Now the fresh install of Windows could commence. This seemed to happen smoothly, although the CD-ROM drive was very loud. The whole process took about 30 minutes, having to reboot several times. Oh yeah, nothing beats a fresh install of Windows 98. Simple, clean, and a great nostalgia trip. It would appear as if all drivers are accounted for, with this new installation leaving us 1.7 gigabytes of free space to work with. Our 90s battle station is almost complete. I feel as if that keyboard and mouse are definitely a good fit. Let's give that Sidewinder joystick a bit of a test. But sadly, Combat Flight Simulator doesn't run very well at all, and that's largely due to the graphics card having no 3D acceleration capabilities. So let's put in a similar card that has twice the memory and 3D acceleration. In games that can take advantage of an early 3D capable card, the difference is truly night and day, but not all games run correctly using that direct 3D option. Monster Truck Madness 2 has many graphical issues which are not present while running it in software rendering mode. The Diamond Stealth 3D 2000 card does struggle with more demanded games. Motocross Madness 2 wasn't all that playable, as you can see here. Age of Empires 2 did however run great, of course being far less graphically intensive. What about Duke Nukem and his adventure in the third dimension? A 3D game that renders in software mode, taking advantage of fast CPUs. Even at 640 by 480 high detail, the 233MHz Pentium performs admirably, easily running this game. With a 3D capable card as basic and old as this one, compatibility can be a mixed bag. Matchbox Emergency Patrol would only run in software mode, hence the really low frame rate. But do you have a need? A need for speed? Well, this is definitely playable on this system, and I'm not sure if it's taking advantage of the 3D capabilities that the current card has, but either way, at 640 by 480 high graphical settings, this is a lot of fun and very playable. You have no idea how much fun it's been going back and using a PC from this time period. Technology was advancing super fast, and for a brief moment, the Pentium MMX 233MHz was Intel's fastest and best offering for a single CPU computer. If paired with a stronger 3D capable card, this system could really take on any game from the late 90s with ease. But in its current form, I was able to experience the simpler aspects of computing that I grew up on many decades ago. Roger clearly took care of this desktop, with almost nothing requiring eucalyptus oil, apart from the little rubber feet on the side of the casing. And I personally think it looks better as a vertical tower, so you can have your system set up like this, ready for when you want to go on your next nostalgic trip.
I've always been fascinated by these Australian assembled Ipex computers, mainly because the primary school I went to had a lot of them. And if you ever worked in any government departments or anything to do with education back in the early 2000s, the 90s, and maybe even the late 80s, you've probably seen one of these. I have made a video about a Pentium 4 one before, which I will link on screen now. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun checking this thing out, and I'll probably set it up as a permanent retro gaming computer, because I just love the look of this thing. It's so sturdy, and that little built-in speaker, 5¼ drive thingy, is so cool. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.